Ladies, I am. There we go. I'm a bit warm. Let me just take this off. Hello, ladies of the Love Club. How are you? I have just had a really magical time with my boys today. And I wanted to come in and share a little message with you because I also know that I can't do the Love Club on Friday and as originally planned with the Love Warrior. And I just wanted to come in and share something with you that I have been contemplating and considering, and something that I've really kind of just like got, I had a real aha moment and a real breakthrough with. And I wanted to share that with you in case it was something that you needed as well. So it was really just the recognition that once upon a time, I used to get really, really frustrated that I was trying to be this very routine and very, very organized person. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Did you catch all of that? What was I saying? I used to think that I needed to be this perfectly routined person, had it all together. And I would look at everybody else and they had everything organized and they showed up to work and they were perfectly, intact, and their children were all perfect and everything was all just perfect and looked like they'd done everything. And they just showed up as this glamorous woman who had everything together. And there was just me with my crazy hair and just felt like I was all over the place and didn't really have any kind of real routine. And I thought I needed a routine in order to make me be or feel that, so that I could show up and be just like them. And because I was comparing myself to them, I felt like I was a complete failure. And it was a real eye-opening moment when I looked back and I remembered a period of time in my life. And I'm going to tell you exactly when it was. It was about 16 years ago, just over 16 years ago, because Tom was just born. And it was this story that made me realize and recognize that I just needed to apply what I'd learned in that scenario into my life then, with small children, with now even bigger children, in all of the different evolutions of my business. This was me. And I really wanted to just share what I've understood and kind of like unpacked about this little reframe from a routine, and to give yourself a little bit of grace. And if you're still feeling like you're not achieving what you really wanted to set out to be, but you can, and you can do it with more ease and flow. And this is my year. This is what I wrote down in my diary this week and my journal, was that this year was my year of ease and fun and flow, but grounded in excitement and so much achievement, and just like winning, achieving, and feeling really, really good about what I was doing, but doing it in a way that really suited me. And it was this time 16 years ago that I recognized that I really wasn't cut out for strict routine and just really allowing myself to move into more of me. But the story that I reflected on was this time when Tom was just born. Tom was amazing. So he slept through the night from 7 days old. Can you even believe it? I couldn't believe it. Everybody else was complaining that their babies were awake, but mine slept. I used to wake him up for a dream feed at 10, and then he would wake up at about 6:30, 7 o'clock. And I thought that was quite early, but everybody else was like, no, their babies were waking up all the way through the night. But Tom, he slept through the night from about 7 or 8 days old. He slept all the way through the night. He was my little angel baby. He would take everything, eat everything. He would sleep everything. He was always so joyfully happy. He was just such a gorgeous boy. But I would rock up to all of the mothers' meetings and everybody was doing Gina Ford. And Gina Ford said you had to feed your baby at all of these specific times. And I just remember her saying, and at 8:15, have a piece of toast. And at 4:30, he needs to go down for his nap. And it was like literally structured by timings of when you would eat and when they would eat and how you would do this and to get them to sleep. And I just thought, well, everybody else is doing this, so I should really do Gina Ford baby. I mean, why in my right mind I thought I had to do that when I had a baby who slept through the night? I don't know. But everybody else was loving this structure. And I thought, right, Tom and I are going to do that. And we started, and it just was not for me. And it wasn't for Tom. I'd be like, oh my God, we're like 5 minutes past, because I'm such a good girl. If I'm told I have to do something, I have to do it. And it was like, oh my God, it's 4:15 and he needs to be awake. He shouldn't be asleep in the back of the car. And oh my goodness, he hasn't had this feed and he hasn't done that feed. And it just ended up being an awful, stressful period of time, because I was always felt like I was failing. I was always doing the wrong thing. And I wanted to go out and about and do all of these things. And it ended up being a lot of tears and a lot of tantrums, mainly by me. Tom was fine, but I was getting frustrated that I wasn't adhering to this routine. Tom would have fitted in anyway. And when I started to recognize that this wasn't for me, and I found another book, and I remember the cover, it was this lovely blue book with pink writing on it. It was called The Baby Whisperer. And I thought, do you know what, I'm going to try this. And I read Tracy Hogg's book and I loved it because it gave me a structure and a framework. It was called the Easy Flow or Framework. I don't know if any of you remember this, but it was the baby would eat, then they would have activity, then they would have a sleep, and you would have some you time. So it was an easy flow. And I was like, oh, this sounds amazing. So I was like, right, Tom and I started the Easy Flow. And this worked so well for him and me because we could fit this in. Tom could sleep for a long period of time or a short period of time, but we would just keep repeating eat, activity, sleep, you time, eat, activity, sleep, you time. And that worked perfectly. And Tom continued to sleep through the night. And I was just like, oh my goodness. I recognized in this moment that I didn't need or like working to a rigid routine or a time frame with times on it. It just didn't work for me and it didn't work for Tom. But what I did love was having this structure and this kind of like routine of EASY that I could follow, but on my own timings. And what I've recognized is that that was a lesson in contrast. I'd learned that the Gina Ford rigid routine didn't work for me, but the Tracy Hogg Easy Flow with a kind of like free flowing framework did. There was no timeline, there was no pressure, there was just everything could flow around my life. And what I've recognized in that is that I love that in everything that I do. I love to apply that easy kind of flow with that lovely routine and structure, sorry, that lovely framework and structure, but with my own flow through it rather than having set points and timings for everything, because that makes me start to have panic attacks and break out in hives. So I've applied that same kind of framework and flow to my life. And I wanted to share how I've been doing that in case you wanted to implement something similar into your health and in your business, because I know that that's what most of us are working on at the moment here in the Love Club. So I thought I'd share that. So what I've done is I've turned this whole kind of premise around, because I would look out there on the internet and look out there at everybody else and think they've got this absolutely amazing routine and structure and business and health and life, and was really panicking that it wasn't going to work for me. And what I've recognized is that there are five simple things that I can apply to both my health and also my health and life, health/life, but then also into my work as well. Because let's face it, when I look on the face of it, I have a really busy and very, very full life. I've got my mentoring and my coaching work, my personal brand. We've got a very busy kind of property business where we have lots of different guests every single week, and we've got lots of agencies and different suppliers, and we manage all of that. I run our wonderful home. I've got 2 teenagers, I've got a dog, and I've got a husband, and all of those things all put into this kind of like mix that I'm the central point of could potentially disrupt any routine and any timing and cause me to feel like I'm failing, which it would have done and has done in the past when I ever try and put any kind of specific timings on things. So what I've done is I've turned it really around and really taken my power back, I suppose. Lots of people say you take the power back, and I kind of like pulled it back into me, and it's like, well, how can I make this work for me? What am I going to do here? I wouldn't say that I'm a free-spirited person, but I definitely love to flow, not free flow all over the place. I do love to have this framework and this structure to flow through. And I love that framework and that structure, but it means that I just have this flow to go through. And then it means also that if there's any mishaps or any tantrums or any changes of plans from all over my life, I can adapt. So this is the one that I apply to my health, and then I'm going to share how I apply the same thing to my business. And if you want to take pieces of it or all of it or adapt it to make it yours and make your own structure and framework, then you can. So it's basically all ends. It's 5 simple elements that I kind of like all the way through. I don't know why. I love numbers and words of affirmation, and letters and numbers really help me kind of like focus my point. So it's all about like, so in this, it's nature, nurture, nourish, energy, and connection are the 5 key elements that I apply both to my health and then also into my workflows. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about what each one of those means. So nature, when we're talking about my health, I really want to apply these 5 elements to my health and my life that make me able to show up for my best self, and I feel good, and I'm able to give my best, and it's best for my body, and it's best for my life, and it's best for everybody else. So in terms of nature, I always love to have some element of nature in my day, whether that's me walking out in nature. It could be that I'm just out in the garden and picking some flowers, or I'm sat outside, especially in the summer, sitting, having my cup of coffee, or I'll walk the dog round the fields or down by the river. And I will just look at the marvel of nature and just see signs. I see so many signs in spirit animals. And if you listen to Big Calm Concept 5 in the Calm Clinic, you'll know how much I love looking for signs in my life to know that I'm on the right path, or what messages the universe has to share with me. And I often find the inspiration in nature, but it makes me feel so connected to something so much bigger, and how infinitely small we are compared to something so much bigger. So I love being in nature. It makes me feel very, very grounded. The second one I love to put in is nurture. I love to nurture my soul. And as long as I nurture my soul every day, it can come in a variety of different forms. Nurturing my soul could be sitting in meditation. Nurturing my soul could be listening to a podcast of somebody I love to listen to, or a YouTube clip, or it could be just reading a book. Nurturing my soul, some mornings it looks like me just free flowing in my journal, or rearranging my thoughts, or doing whatever I need in order to nurture my soul. Can you see the difference? Sometimes some people, I remember reading the book, The Miracle Morning. Have you ever read that? Hal Elrod, and he had 7 elements to his, and it was, you fit them all in this an hour window, and you'd be up at 5:30 so that you got everything done before the 6:30. And once again I was like, oh, I can't do that, and I tried it and it didn't work. But it was like, it was too prescriptive. Like, you have to meditate for 10 minutes, then you need to journal for 10 minutes, then you need to exercise for 10 minutes. I can't remember what the other ones are, but it was like everything for 10 minutes and you've got to do them in this routine. But nurturing my soul gives me the freedom to say, what does my soul need today? And some mornings she wants to meditate to give me messages, and some mornings she wants to scribe, and some mornings she just wants to sit in peace and quiet. Sometimes she wants to learn, and she wants to learn something new. So just bringing it up a little bit enables me to still feel like I'm getting everything that I need, but I'm not too prescriptive. So we've done nature, we've done nurture. The next thing I love to do is nourish. This is all about fueling my body and my mind with the food it needs to start my day strong, or to keep me going throughout the day, to stay resilient, to stay regular, to stay healthy. And what I mean by fueling the body and the mind is that we have to recognize that there is this very, very powerful brain-gut axis. So what I'm going to feed my body needs to also feed my microbiome, which also means that I've got a clear head. I'm mentally strong as well as physically strong, and my tummy is okay, because I also have a tendency towards anxiety. So if I'm anxious, that can trigger my IBS. So I want to make sure that my microbiome is resilient and strong enough to cope with that, and then vice versa. So I could go on a massive tangent about the microbiome in the vagus nerve, but I'm not. So when I say I'm nourishing my mind and my body, it's making sure that food that I nourish my body with is not only for nourishing my body and good for my body, but it's good for my mind as well. The fourth is energy. This to me is all about movement. It's about really giving myself the energy. And I know that movement and giving myself energy and moving with energy is also just a response to my body. So rather than being very, very dictatorial and saying, right, you have to do, half an hour HIIT, or you have to get on your Peloton, or you have to go for a run every single day or 5 days a week, it's just about listening to my body. So it could be that I get on my Peloton. It could be that I do a weighted walk. It could be that I do a power flow or a slow flow, or just simple stretches. But as long as I've done some energetic movement, then I have completed that kind of like fourth element in my day that's going to make sure that I get everything that I need for my health and in my life. The fifth is connect. How can I do this? Connection. So it's all about connection for me, is a really powerful source of wellness and goodness for my health. So connection, of course, is hugs. If you know me and if you've ever met me properly, then like connection for me is just huge hugs. So if I can't have the big necessarily connection skin to skin, so the dog's going in and out of the dog, skin to skin, then it's going to be connection with human people. So making sure I have conversations every day. That could be with my clients, it could be with James, it could be people on a walk. It's just connection, making sure that I'm connecting to people in some way and having those conversations that fuel me, so I don't feel lonely, so that I can have, you know, those connections with all of my internet best friends. If I can't see people in person, then it's tapping into the industry of incredible entrepreneurs that are out there, who are also full of passion and purpose. Are you going to sit down, or are you going to keep wandering around? Do you want to sit up here? Just sit down. So can you see what I've done there? I've created a framework with 5 elements that really support my health and my life and my feeling of feeling good, without any kind of real rigid, formulaic kind of time frame and like specific routine. It's very much my ability to flow, and I can almost like create a different flavor of it every day in response to how my body is. And it's also meant that I've been able to change that over the course of my life, as I have changed, as my body has changed, as our lives have changed, as the seasons change. I can change it all and mix it all up in a way that makes me feel good, without making me feel like I'm failing if I've got it wrong, or having to feel like I have to change it all the time. There are just 5 elements that I can really focus on, and if I've covered them off over the course of the day, then I can feel that I'm really satisfied and recognize I've looked after my health today, because I have been in nature. I've nurtured my soul. I've nourished my body and my mind. I've connected with people, and I have energized myself through movement. So those are the 5 elements that I like to apply to my health and my life that make me feel really, really good. And it's really interesting, because when I was thinking about this, it was like, well, if that's my health and my life, are there 5 key elements that I like to bring into my work and my business as well? And actually, when I looked at it, they are the same 5. I'm just going to get Rocky down. Bear with me 1 second. Fox, can you get down? Let's just go and shut the door. If you shut the door, and then you can stop speaking. Let's just sit down. Sit down, boy. So when I think about my work, I have the same 5 elements, but they have an added different kind of flow and flavor to them. So once again, nature, I bring into my business, and I consider that in my business as well. So nature is the basis of business in the way I see it. I like to run my business from a very, very strategic point. So nature is kind of, excuse me, like almost like the backbone of the structure of my business. I like to work in 3-month cycles, which very much go with the seasons. Especially here in the UK, we have spring, summer, autumn, winter. So spring is kind of like planting of the seeds. What am I planting? What do I want to grow? What's happening in the summer? What's flourishing? What is bold and bright, and what is really out there? And then autumn, kind of like, what am I letting go of? And then winter, what am I putting to the ground? Am I hibernating? Do I need to pull in? Do I need to really go down and deep? So it's really coming in and asking myself, what season am I in, or is my business in at the moment? Am I in hibernation? Am I rooting down? Am I growing up? Am I planting seeds? What season am I in? I also love to bring in like the elements as well. So in terms of water is always going to remind me to flow. Just allow myself to flow, and I will find the way. It's amazing. If you ever watch water, it will always find a way through. The earth, it reminds me to stay grounded, to stay rooted. Yes, it's so good to have that vision, but it's also so good to be grounded and growing roots and connected. The wind and storms, I always love that. I always love to see wind and storms. There's always going to be turbulent times in business. There's going to be ebbs and flows, ups and downs. And winds and storms, to me, always come to clear the path. They come to like knock off the dead leaves of the trees. They come to clear things over and knock over the dead wood. So don't be fearful of a wind and a storm. In fact, they can be really, really beneficial. And then, of course, we've got the element of fire. And you know me, that whole kind of like phoenix flames and burning things to the ground so that they go into ashes, so that we can rise again. Again, there's nothing wrong with burning things down to create them bigger and better. And that, I think, has been like the premise of my whole journey through my business. It's like, what's not working? Let's burn it down, but let's recreate it. Let's repackage it and build it up, and let's build it back stronger. The phoenix is just so powerful. So fire is really good. And actually in entrepreneurship, fire is the creator. Fire is the heat. You're going to need that for the energetic source. There's nothing wrong with the burn. So loving to bring all of those elements of nature into my business. So looking at it and saying, does my business have all of those elements in it, or am I focused in one particular place? And really looking at that and using it. So nature is a really key part of my business. Nurture, the second element. So really looking at this, nurturing my clients. Nurturing my business is nurturing my private clients, nurturing my mastermind ladies, you here, it's nurturing my membership, and it's also nurturing my audience. Am I, excuse me, am I connecting with people? Am I nurturing them? Am I letting them know that how much they mean to me? Like, I'm coming in here to do a live, ad hoc live for you because I had something I wanted to share that I thought was so valuable to you all. So am I nurturing? Am I giving? Am I holding? Am I loving? Am I giving? Am I serving? So this is really nurturing. And it might not always be in a live, but it could be just from an energetic point of view and sitting down and energetically thinking about each one of my clients. And is there anything that I can bring to the table to share with them? Is there anything that I can send them, whether that be a video clip or a journal or something I think that's really going to help them? Really nurturing my clients is one of the reasons why my businesses have become so strong, is because I have such a special emphasis on my clients and the love that I love to give them. And I love you all. Nourishing. So the next is all about the nourish. So the nourishing here is really about feeding my business. So when in the previous flow was very much about feeding my mind and my body, this is what am I feeding in my business? What am I putting into my business? What am I giving it to fuel it? What am I putting into it? What am I creating? What support do I actually need in order to help me grow? Because knowledge from outside can also nourish my business. Are there coaches? Are there other people I want to work with to help me? What do I want to learn? Is it from a podcast? Is it from a program? Is it from a book? What skills can I learn more about? Last year, I invested in so many different programs to help me nourish my business. I took programs and courses in sales, in marketing, in energetics. I invested in an energetics coach to support me so that I could come back in and support my clients. And I love that there's something you can only give to the much that you are being held. And so especially for those of us who are giving, whether that be through coaching or mentoring or leading or being partners or running businesses and CEOs, we can only give if we are feeling held and supported and nourished too. So I've always had some element of coaching or support, whatever that might mean, in order to nourish me so that I can nourish others. And that is nourishing my business with new good stuff. So it's all about the nourishment of the good stuff into my business. Energy, the next, how am I feeling about my business? This has been such a big piece for me and why I've been able to keep moving and keep evolving. For somebody like me who is relatively quite free-spirited and loves the change and loves freshness, it's about how am I feeling about my business? What's really fueling me? What's lighting me up? What doesn't feel so good anymore? What do I want to change? What do I want to mix up? Am I feeling flat or am I feeling excited? What's not feeling good? Why? Asking all these really powerful questions. I'm really doing a lot of the reframing and the reprogramming myself and knowing what to bring when I speak to my coaches. I might do a vision session and just sit down and go, oh, I'm feeling a bit bored with my business. Okay, let's have a look. Let's bring some energy into this and let's look at the vision and let's look at the dreams. Or if I'm feeling flat or low or resistant or hesitant, what do I need to shift? What do I need to reframe? Am I in an ebb or a flow? What energy is happening in here right now? And how can I liven myself up to bring more energy into my business? So energy is a really, really important element that I love to put into my work kind of flow. And then, of course, the last fifth element, the connection, the N of the connection. New connections is so important in business. New connections, new collaborations, growth, expansion. It's the networking. It's getting out there in person and meeting new people and fostering and creating new relationships. Meeting people in person, but also leveraging the power of the incredible platforms that we have on social media, whether that's Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or Pinterest or email, whatever it is, but giving myself that ability to give myself my own PR campaign and getting out there and being seen by being visible, by being present. So connection and connecting with people on and offline is also just another wonderful way of just really boosting and bolstering my business. And I've loved having this level of framework in my business. And I know if I touch on every single one of those key elements in my business every single day, or at least over the course of the week, I know that I'm looking after the health of my business as well. So I wanted to share those 5 kind of like ends with you that you can apply to your health and your life, and you can take those, or you might find that you like to choose your own, and that's okay too. I love and thrive on flow and fluid and variety, and allowing myself to flow through some of those key basics and key, like, just that they really support me. But I also recognize that not everybody loves that. I also live with 2 line 1s. So for those of you who know and understand human design, the line 1 is very much about the research of the planner. They love times and plans and all of these kinds of things. Both James and Willie are line 1s. James is a line 3-1 and Will is a line 5-1. And they love to know, what time are we doing this? When are we going there? How long for? When? What? Why? How long? What? They love to know the structure and the plan. And they hate it when Tom and I don't show up on time. But we're all different, and we're embracing our differences. So I just wanted to share that with you today to help you if you're finding, especially as it's half term and perhaps your routines and your structures are all out of sorts, maybe bring an element of this kind of like fluid framework, the ability to flow through elements. And if you've got your elements there and you're still achieving them, and that's good. And it might be just a minute of meditation, and that's okay. And it might be just a minute of connection, or a minute of energy, or a minute of this, or a minute of that. But at least if you've just touched on each of those key elements in whatever area that you're applying this to, you can feel like you're getting it done, rather than having to condense everything into an hour, or a morning routine, or an end of day routine, or anything like that. I have loved this. So if you've really found this useful for you, do let me know what you're going to take from it, how you're going to put it in and apply it into your business. And if you resonate with all of this, maybe just give yourself this new mantra that I love to give myself, which is, when I flow with ease, then life flows and feels easy to me. And I love that. And that's just, you know, in tribute to Tracy Hogg and her easy flow, which really helped me recognize that I love elements that I can flow through, rather than having this very, very rigid, strict plan. So happy Tuesday, happy half term, have a great week. I will be back next week. We're going to do the next live, the next Joy Code Life Lab live. I can't wait for that one. And I'm going to drop you all the details and send some more information. In the meantime, I'm going to love you and leave you. Happy Tuesday.